questions to answer. Like further on as we continue the podcast, we'll have more guests and everything. But for now, it's just me, and I'm here to promote K08 Studios' new film opening, Performance of a Teenager. Now, being my first project, it's obviously not the best, but I'm quite proud of her. Now, the first question I have is, how did you become a better filmmaker than you were at the beginning of media studies class? Now, the first question I have is, how did you become a better filmmaker than you were at the beginning of the class? Well, taking A.S Media Studies really helped me. Going over reviewing at the beginning, we went into long depth of theorists and analyzing mise-en-scene and lighting and sound and everything, and learning the ins and out of the techniques and how to analyze them really helped me throughout this filming process. I kind of felt more like I knew what I wanted to do and I knew what I needed to do to carry out this film. I also analyzed things like movies to prepare for what I wanted my film opening to look like. So for Performance of a Teenager, one of my biggest inspirations was The Hangover, and how they introduced the beginning of the movie by having it be the end of the movie. I thought that was such a clever idea and a great way to really set the plot of the film at the precursor. Now, I stopped treating filmmaking as well like random. I kind of became more intentional. I framed certain things more intentionally because I needed the 1-to-1 camera ratio, as you'll see throughout some of my film opening. Sound was also a big part. I did try to use these microphones by Movo, I think it was. However, one of them just wasn't working. So I kind of played around with background noise and stuff like that. Definitely found a way to combat the fact that I didn't have the vocals from actual on-set filming due to wind and other things. And then I definitely planned more. So all of the techniques you see in my film are intentional. And cinematic language is something we really reviewed in the class, and it's something that I really thought was unintentional from certain films and TV, until I realized while filming they are intentional, and you have to really make sure you're putting that into your film or you're just gonna miss the plot. And I think I definitely tried to do that as much as possible. Okay, and the next question: what did you learn about the process of making films, beginning, middle, and end? Well, if we're talking about pre-production specifically, for beginning, okay, the next question is, what did you learn about the process of making films, beginning, middle, and end? Okay, well, to start, pre-production, definitely important. I can't tell you the countless amount of times I looked back on my storyboard when filming, when editing. Oh, that was so important, because honestly, without having my storyboard, I wasn't gonna execute the vision. I just wasn't. The storyboard was so important, even though the drawings were horrible. It was so important. And if you want to see my original storyboard, it's actually on the K08 Studios website. I'll link it in the description below, but it's horrible, honestly. The drawings are horrible. However, I did look back to it a lot because I had a lot of notes, and they helped me so much when editing and filming because I really knew what I wanted to capture, and I kept track of that through the rest of the movie. Even in also my script, writing my script was a difficult process, and I did improvise a lot of the scenes that I had written out, and I even changed like what like scene I was going to have. Still absolutely necessary. I did a lot of improv on shoot days and stuff like that, but it was definitely important for me to have these and make sure I had like the clear concepts, so my film wasn't just like a mess. I genuinely didn't want just piece together clips. It was very important for me and intentional for you to feel what these two girls were feeling in the moment, and I think I really executed that by having a storyboard and my script. And though it's just like the film opening, it's so important to have a clear vision, and I'm really thankful I made a storyboard and a script that was clear and concise with camera notes and director's notes. That was so important. The middle part, the production, I'd say, it was so unpredictable. Honestly, the days I had a call sheet, again, if you go to my blog, link in the description. Oh, so difficult. It was so hard to keep up with what I had scheduled. I'm still a full-time high school student, and I have a part-time job. So to find room for filming and making sure it lines up with my actresses filming free time, it was definitely unpredictable, directing and shooting all together. First time, very unpredictable, didn't really know exactly what to do. I definitely learned how to adapt and how to manage my time, and it was a process, but I definitely procrastinated a lot and kind of pushed through near the end there and kind of just rushed it. I think one mistake I did make was I didn't give myself enough time to fully have time for shooting and playing around with the scenes and getting everything I wanted. So that's something for next time I definitely need to focus on, is being able to manage my time way better and procrastinate way less. Another thing that I had to pay attention to was my sound. As I said, I tried to use those mics, but they just didn't work. So I think next time, probably find a more reliable source. I was working on a low budget. I mean, again, high school student, so I didn't spend much money. So mics are probably something, if I continue this process, which I want to, is something I need to invest in. Another thing I had an issue with was directing. My co-star and my actress in the film, she is my best friend, and I had such a hard time feeling like a director and really setting my place and like telling her what to do. I think she did a great job, obviously. Something I did need to work on though. But I did learn that it's very important to set those boundaries on set and in filming. Okay, post-production. Okay, post-production is where I definitely struggled the most. Am I an editor? Absolutely not. Did I edit this film opening? Yes, and I hope everyone will like it. However, the film finally started to make sense when I started editing this film. I edited it twice because of the CapCut, the editing software I was using, updated randomly, deleted my entire film. I only had an imported version, covered in watermarks. The sound was filled with like watermarks. I don't even know. Horrible. Thankfully, I took CCR footage for my media studies class, and I had the behind the scenes screen recordings, so I could use those to re-edit my entire film, but it was a pain. I literally stayed up until like 1 a.m. doing it. But it was really interesting. I mean, I've never really edited this before. I learned how to revise clips, how to paste them to make sure they looked good. The clips I took, because I wasn't very intentional for the editing process, because I didn't really know that I needed to be, they were very choppy. They didn't flow together nice, and I did want like hard cuts because I wanted it to be an intense feeling you got. So one of the things I liked so much about CapCut and I learned to use are these transitions that looked like film. It was really interesting. They were really fun to use, and so that's something I learned that I needed to really develop. Sound design also had such a huge impact. Knowing when to use what songs and how to use them and what clips to make them sound the best was another thing that I am so glad that I finally kind of get the grasp of now that I'm done filming. And I really just think I needed to feel it. Again, I did a case study on Sinners, which you can see in my YouTube video, a vlog about like the behind the scenes. I was so interested in and I knew that there was such a unique way to develop sound in your film and to really have it affect your entire mise-en-scene. And I think it was so cool to be able to do that so easily using CapCut. So kind of really developing my skills on when and how to use sound. Now, the next question I have here is, okay, so it says, can you talk about planning, drafting, directing, shooting, revising, editing, sound, etc.? Okay, well, that's a lot, but I can start with planning. Well, okay, it was kind of hard, the planning and drafting aspect. I couldn't really think of something right away. I knew from research, again, you can see in my behind the scenes K08STUDIOS blogs, the website will be linked below. I really knew I wanted something with a lot of plot and a lot of character development. I know I like psychological films that really make you think. So when creating this, I knew that's something I wanted to lean towards. Again, the storyboard really helped me. I actually created my storyboard before I had finished my script. It was so hard for me to finish my script that like really planning out the storyboard really helped me. I think another thing that helped me the most as well with planning and drafting was I made sure it was going to be as structured as I could possibly have it. I wanted it to be sound. I didn't want to go into my project loosey-goosey and not knowing what I really wanted. So when I discovered that I really wanted to focus on this teen girl who had everything, who had friends and family and was loved and like lived a great life, to struggle internally where she wanted to take her own life and ended up doing so. And her best friend being so confused because she was so good at hiding her struggles. That's when I thought of the title, Performance of a Teenager. I also looked into directors like Sofia Coppola, and I loved everything she does. I mean, she really does focus on the performance of girlhood, and I think I took a little influence on that and focused on like the teenager itself, because I don't think it's necessarily just a female experience. I think men go through this too, and it's just we're seeing such a rise in pain in these younger generations, and they're so good at concealing it that we don't notice it until, well, in this case it was a little too late. And I think that's a big part of my film, because I mean, she just yeah. Another key part of this film too is that the film opening is very vague, so we don't quite know how she has passed away. We just know that she has, and her best friend is missing her. And then at the end, we get that monologue where it becomes quite a bit clearer, and then we don't really know if there was a bad event or she took her own life, but then obviously it leads you wanting more. And I think it's something I really wanted to have in my film, because the film opening sequence was just my first project, but I really want to go deeper into this and really create something big. Okay, I know I took a while on that one, but we'll move on to directing. I think in this process, it really made me see that I couldn't just kind of let people take grasp of my project. I'm a very, I don't like taking control person, but I think when doing this, I had such a strong vision and I knew what needed to happen, so I made sure I made Pinterest boards for the character so my actors could be perfect to what I wanted. I made sure I brought us to the certain filming locations because I knew that's where we needed to be. I, despite people being around, made us run down the riverwalk. I just think, though it was quite hard being a director and an actress in this film, directing was really my favorite part. I do like telling where the camera goes and making sure everything pieces together. At the end of the day, I think films are directors' films, and I think I did get better at guiding people and making stronger decisions to make sure my film was executed how I wanted it. Okay, shooting. I think I improved significantly from just propping up a camera and filming. I think I made sure they were straight. I made sure there was low angles and high angles, and I think the worm's eye view and the level-headed shots, and then making it crooked, canted angle for the testimonials or not the testimonials, sorry, the memorial card shots. I just really wanted a certain vibe, and I really think it came to life here. So I think I got so much better with just the control of the camera. I didn't move it around. Obviously I had to be in a lot of the shots, but I think I learned how to actually prop up, set up, and record the last testimonial to make sure it was as important as possible. Okay, again, I said revising and editing was the hardest part for me. I struggled very much at the beginning. Now I think I'm more refining the work instead of settling for these rough cuts. I think at the beginning of editing, I was okay, I would get over it and just be no, this is good enough. But now I think I really do go in depth and make sure this is smooth, or the ratio was 1:1 and this is 16:9 or whatever. But I definitely think I improved significantly in that sense, and just editing. I think adding the sounds in the right spot and making sure they were at different tones and levels, I just improved overall on all of that. Again, sound, I definitely came to the realization how essential the quality of the audio is. I think one thing I did struggle with in this film is that my original clips, since they were on location, there was a lot of wind. The sound quality was not good, and that's why I opted for more ambient background noises, which is something that I did want already. But I'm very thankful my film was allowed, had an allowance for that. But I did think it really taught me how deliberate sound design is. Again, I've reviewed it, I've analyzed movies, I know it's important, but actually doing the work in filming, it made me see it in a completely different light. And this project really made me learn how significant it can affect your film, and how the sound itself and the sound design really affects the way you feel, and that catharsis you release when you hear certain sounds, like in a horror movie like The Shining, or like in my movie The Somber, or like lost in thought memories that you're like feeling when you see her stripped away from her best friend. So yeah, I think it was really important. Moving on, next question. How will you leave the class more skilled and knowledgeable than when you started? Okay. Finally, I'd say that I understand the cycle better, the whole entire production cycle. I definitely will approach my future projects with a clearer intention, better technique, and skills, and you know, the awareness that filmmaking is about creating meaning and not just collecting different video clips. I think I always knew how significant filmmaking is, and I love watching movies and analyzing them. But I really do think you will never understand it fully until you're indulged into the project. So, this film opening has taught me so many things, not only about what I want to execute in future projects, but what I wish I had done better on this one. And I think without this project, my production skills would not be as strong as they are now. And this firsthand experience has helped me significantly in everything I've done. Yeah, I know it's a short one, but it is the first one, and hopefully there'll be many more, promoting many more projects. But if you want to watch the film opening sequence performance of a teenager, please, I'll probably have it linked below, but go check out my YouTube. um yeah, I'm so thankful. Like, I don't know what else to say. Hopefully this will go somewhere, we'll have guests. But yeah, thank you so much. I mean, shout out to my inspirations like Guillermo del Toro, Sofia Coppola. Just, yeah, thank you for everything. And I hope to see you in the next one.